So I've decided to do part two of my series. My first one was how to fix the Mad Dog. This one I'm going to call how to fix the Kopis or the Kopis. I don't know how to pronounce it. But the truth is, it doesn't need much fixing. It's a really cool battle armor. Um, and it's really intimidating. I like the artwork. And by the way, I've taken this from Fair Use from Sarna, the artwork on the right. So let's talk about this design, right? It is one of the assault battle armors. So let's just get a new start here. So I'm using heavy metal. The person who made this app was very cool. I bought it like 20 years ago, and then I got away from BattleTech, and then I had the old email, and I sent him the email, and he sent me another license, and I'm back in action. So the Kopis is this assault battle armor, right? And the main thing about it, what makes it so cool, is it has two huge lasers. I mean, for a battle armor to have a medium laser, we know everybody in the inner sphere loves medium lasers, right? So you stack this thing up, you get medium lasers on it, right? So it doesn't work even if you put two medium lasers on something. It's just a little short. So you go to the advanced armor, you save all this tonnage, and then what it has on it is there's a little tonnage left over, so they use some anti-personnel weapon mounts. So what those do is they give you the ability to use like support weapons. So if you have a hand, you could carry like an infantry weapon. But if your mech doesn't have a hand, like the Kopis obviously has claws, right? You could just use a weapons mount, right? So you'd put it on the left arm, and then you'd mount it on there, right? You could see it's a weapons mount, right? And now one of the interesting things about this is you can't use them alongside the weapon. So you can't fire the medium lasers and the hand anti-personnel weapons at the same time. It's just not the way it is. But whatever, they're there. And I guess the idea is if you have some light work and you don't want to use your medium lasers, you just use some handheld weapons. So this is a great mech, right? And I mean, or battle armor. It's so intimidating. I mean, two medium lasers, if you figure you're going up most battle armor, it might have a machine gun. And you're like, what? You got a machine gun? And you could shoot at 3 hexes, great. Oh, I could fire 10 points of damage at 9. I mean, that's some serious weaponry. But, you can actually make this a little better. And the way to make it better is a kind of sneaky level 3 thing. And the trick is, well, once you go to level 3, and obviously these medium lasers are just so heavy. And that's their biggest drawback, right? But in level 3, you could have these detachable weapons mount points, right? So that's in this software, it's just done as DMP, right? So for every weapon you could have, you could use a detachable weapons point, and it weighs less. It's like, I forget the calculation, but instead of 500 kilograms here, this thing weighs only 375, right? And then, wow, it's like once you've done that, now you got a lot of savings. Now, the interesting thing about the detachable weapons points is when you use them, it makes your unit slower. Now, it's interesting, having 2 detachable weapons points doesn't make it twice as slow. But if you're an assault or heavy design, it's minus 2 MP. But minus 2 brings you down to 0. And in BattleTech, there's a minimum movement rule, which puts you back to 1. So this is a design, just by doing this, right? My design moves as fast as it did before. And now I have all the space left over. I have 110 tons left over. So what could you do with this? Well, I think one of the easiest things to do is say, well, since this thing is moving slow, let's just throw some mimetic armor on there, right? Because if you're not moving, you're 3 to hit. And if you are even moving 1 hex, which is the only thing this can move, it's 2 to hit. So we've made this thing really powerful now. Before it was, we haven't done anything. We've just used detachable weapons points, and that's great. So we've made this thing, I call this, since it's my mimetic armor, I call it the Mopis. there's another trick you could do. You could say, well, I don't want mimetic armor. I want to use this advanced armor. And now you've got all this tonnage left. So you could make this pretty much anything you want. You could say, you could just go ham on it. I call this like my Cadillac. You could say, yeah, you know what? Let's put improved sensors on it. Let's put a cutting torch on it for naval operations. Let's use like a laser microphone. I don't know. You might want to spy on somebody with this thing. Who knows? Let's put a searchlight, Let's put a shotgun microphone. You just got so much extra room just by using this advanced armor and this detachable weapons points. I just loaded it up with all this fun stuff. So this would be a great design just for your campaign because you got everything here. You got a cutting torch. And all kidding aside, if you use the cutting torch and the battle claws, one benefit is there's this naval bonus you could get, and battle claws and cutting torches, boost that quite a lot. So this isn't necessarily my favorite design, but my point is you could do a lot with this extra space. So this is great. We've got this assault armor, right? And I looked at this and I'm like, this is super cool. And then I thought, well, but what if I did something crazy? Like, what if I, since I'm only using 10 points of armor, why does it have to be an assault design, right? So I was just kind of, playing with this idea, like, what if I moved it down to a heavy battle armor? Now, the thing that's interesting about heavy battle armor, right, is that you could see it could travel on omnis, right? So now, if you read the descriptions of the Kopis a lot, people are like, oh, it can't move around, just drop it off with a VTOL or something. And that's such a cop-out. You could say that about anything. It's really slow, so drop it off. So I think this is where I started with. I was like, if I could get this thing moving around, on a mech, awesome, right? If I could get 2 medium lasers on a trooper and transport it, wow, that's like powerful. And then, there's this thing, the magnetic clamps, and what these do is they obviously allow you to travel on mechs and vehicles, which makes sense because it's the inner sphere. Not everything's an omni mech, you know what I mean? So being able to be transported on a vehicle or just a regular mech is a big advantage, right? But it is a Kopis, so you want to have that medium laser flare, right? So we'll go back, we'll try to recreate, the original Kopis here, right? Let's find those lasers, and we'll use the detachable ones because they just save so much space. But now we got a problem, right? Because we've obviously brought it down from an assault design to a heavy. It just obviously doesn't have as much space as it does before, right? Even if we're using advanced armor. So the truth is, we're not going to be able to get the same loadout, right? It's just these are too heavy. So 10 damage at 9 hexes. You kind of look around and you try to think about, well, how else could I do 2 damage at 9 hexes? It's like, well, I could use SRMs, an SRM2 almost does, it shoots 9 hexes and it almost does that, but you really run out of space quickly. You can't really store a lot of SRM ammo. So there's a few options. So poking around, one good thing is to just say, oh, I'm going to use the mag shot, right? The mag shot is a good, 2 damage, again, 9 range. So well, let's see, what if we did 2 mag shots, detachable weapons platform. Let's try that. That gets us to 4 damage at the same range. Let's see if we could find it here. So we'll add 1, we'll add 2. Pretty good here. This is pretty good, right? So now we've got these 2 mag shots. So now we've almost recreated the Kopis exactly. I mean, okay, it's not the exact same weapon loadout, but instead of doing 10 point damage, we're doing 9, right? And we can do it at the same range. And I like this, but I'm still in love with this idea of this mimetic armor, right? And it's not too much more. Like advanced armor weighs 40 points a ton, 40 kilograms a ton, right? And this mimetic armor, man, it just doesn't weigh much more, like 50. You're like, I could do it, right? And you're gonna have to make some sacrifices, right? You got to keep the battle claw, because if you lose the battle claw, then you can't do the mounting anymore. So I can't get transported around. But there's a little trick. The battle claw has some weight, but the basic manipulator doesn't. All right, so now I'm getting somewhere. So I'm traveling on mechs and omnis again, but I'm still a little too heavy, but not like too much, right? And sacrifices have to be made. This mimetic armor is pretty awesome. So let's just kind of theorize what we could put in here, And because of this, I was trying this with the common. I do like having an armored glove and a battle claw, right? Like I like that design so much better. But the problem is it only leaves you 65 tons or 65 kilograms. Tons are on the brain, and you can't do too much with that. There's only a few weapons, that are like under 60, and most of them are really not. They don't have much range, like 2 hexes, 3 hexes. Now, interestingly enough, my application doesn't allow a detachable weapons platform for the light machine gun or the heavy. That's what the star means, which I can't find a rule about that. Maybe this is just a bug in the coding here, or maybe it's just a rule I don't know about. So theoretically, the light machine gun would be nice, but that would just put me over. It's 75, and this is 65. So we'll lose the battle claw, right? We'll go with 2 basic manipulators, right? And then hey, you got the travels on omnis back. The travels on mechs, great, and we've got 80 tons free. So now we got just enough to mount that light machine gun. So let's do it, right? Let's go back. Let's find it here. Let's just see where to go. Let's get rid of the anti-personnel weapons. There we go, light machine gun. And we could just mount this. The good news is we're not mounting it as a detachable weapon like all the other ones. This is just straight mounted. So the good news is, obviously I put all these things on the left arm, but you would put these on the body to match the true Kopis design, and this could go. So now this is like a legal design, and I love this design. Like, think about this. The original Kopis was assault. It had 2 medium lasers, right? It had advanced armor. We've got mimetic armor now, so it's hard to hit. We kept, one of these awesome medium lasers. We couldn't replicate it exactly. We've got 2 damage here and 1 damage here. So, and this doesn't shoot 9, this shoots 6, but it's still got a really good damage profile, and you could transport it. So you could bring this guy along on one of your mechs, and then drop it off. Versus the original Kopis, where everyone's like, "Oh, drop it off with a VTOL, or it'll get there." This thing is actually moving on its own. So I love this design. I call it the Hoppus. I think what does the H stand for? I can't remember. Why did I call it the Hoppus? I don't know, because maybe it hops on other mechs and gets awry. I don't know what my thinking behind it was. But anyway, this is how I would fix the Kopis or the Kopis. Again, I don't know how to pronounce it. I got my Hoppus. It's got, not as much damage as the original, but it's tough. It could transport. It's got mimetic armor, so it's hard to hit. And I think that's an awesome design. So, thanks everybody. If you ever use this in a game, ping me and say it worked or it got me blown up or whatever. Awesome. Thanks again. Have a good one.